Calvin Kattar versus Josh Emmett takes place this weekend in the main event of UFC Fight Night Austin Kattar versus Emmett, and I can't wait for this featherweight matchup. There are certain fights that the UFC make where you can just look at the matchup and just know that it's going to be an absolute firefight back and forth. Calvin Kattar, Josh Emmett, two top featherweight contenders. There's a lot on the line here as well because in my opinion, not only is this a guaranteed amazing fight that I don't want to jinx, by the way, so I'll stop saying that. 9 times out of 10, this is a really amazing fight. However, it's also a title elimination-ish bout in a way. And I mean that because it's only really a title elimination bout on certain conditions. There's no more Zabit in the featherweight division. If Calvin Kattar wins and Alexander Volkanovski wins against Max Holloway in their trilogy, I think Calvin Kattar gets a title shot in the featherweight division because Alexander Volkanovski is not going to be moving up to the top of the lightweight division because there's other contenders there, or there's guys that are one fight away from a title shot there, and there's also like a belt that hasn't really been claimed. I know Charles Oliveira is seen as the champion, but if you're the UFC, you don't want an existing champion fighting for a vacant belt. That's usually not the plan A of a situation. I don't even think they gave Cejudo pay-per-view points for his fight with Marlon Moraes, but Alexander Volkanovski probably earns 5% of the pay-per-view shares. At least he definitely will earn a maybe bigger share if he does beat Max Holloway in the trilogy. And you typically don't want a guy with a belt fighting for a vacant belt because the best thing about a vacant belt is that you don't have to give either guy fighting for it pay-per-view shares. So why would you want a guy fighting for it to get pay-per-view shares if you don't have to pay them that? Either way, if Volkanovski beats Holloway in the trilogy and Calvin Kattar beats Josh Emmett, Volk wants to stay active. He said he wants to come back after this and maybe 2 more times this year after this. He really wants to fight every 3 months, every 4 months, however quickly he can get it done, because he's coming towards, like, sort of, he's not the youngest guy as a champion. I believe he's like 33 years of age. So if he wants to stay active, who's he going to fight? The winner of Ortega-Rodriguez? They're probably going to go to war, and they'll be on a 1-fight win streak, and he already beat Ortega, and Rodriguez is going to be on a 1-fight win streak, so I feel like he's going to go with Kattar if he wins. Either way, I think that will make it an exciting matchup because they know there's a lot on the line. Maybe Josh Emmett could get a title shot if he just flattens Kattar in the first round or gets a really amazing highlight reel KO, because in all honesty, Josh Emmett might be the kryptonite of Alexander Volkanovski. If you got to beat Volk, you kind of want to be a guy who can shut his lights out. You're not going to out-technical Alexander Volkanovski. You kind of got to put him away. Even Holloway, who doesn't really have any knockout power whatsoever and no real knockdowns in his career. I know he knocked down Aldo, and he has some and can TKO people, but he's not known for his power. He did good against Volk because he knocked him down. If you want to beat Volk, you got to knock him down and beat him up and KO him, preferably. Don't want to play his game over 5 rounds whatsoever. And Emmett's that guy, but I feel like Calvin Kattar is going to go out there and beat Josh Emmett. I think they're going to have a firefight back and forth. I just feel as though Calvin Kattar's way better in the pocket than Emmett. Emmett has had some fights, and I remember him for his KOs, and I think a lot of people remember Josh Emmett for his KOs, but outside of Josh Emmett's KOs, he's not all that good. You know what I'm saying? Maybe I'm jinxing it here. But even against Michael Johnson, before he got that KO blow, Michael Johnson can do good against some people, bad against other people. He's a bit of an iffy fighter in terms of what guy shows up, so it's not the best example to use. But he doesn't look amazing at anything until he lights you out cold. Now, that's often the case with a lot of knockout punchers, but Calvin Kattar has KO power in his hands as well. And I think he can KO Josh Emmett just like Josh Emmett can KO him, in all honesty. They both put away Ricardo Lamas. Fair play. Josh Emmett did it way more brutally, but Kattar can put you out and TKO you really badly. You know what I mean? In all honesty, like the elbow he landed on Stevens was perfect. He put down Stevens. When Emmett landed a big blow on Stevens, he put him down. Stevens got right back up, came back at Emmett and put him away. Like, both of these guys can KO each other. But in the meantime of the fight, until that happens, I just feel like Calvin Kattar's a way better striker than Josh Emmett from watching the pair of them fight. He sets things up way better. I mean, Josh Emmett maybe, like, you know, he might be able to use his grappling, but he never really uses his grappling effectively, and people typically get back up, and it's not really a threat in his matchups. Like, people don't really worry about the grappling of Josh Emmett, and in all honesty, watching the takedown defense of Calvin Kattar so far in his career, I don't think we have to worry about the grappling of Josh Emmett here. He's an older guy. No doubt he's gone through a bunch of knee surgeries already in his career. He's had loads of time off in between matchups and stuff like that. I feel like Kattar's going to get him. And Kattar hits hard, and it's going to be a war no matter what. And for a guy with like a previously shattered orbital and cheekbone and like brow ridge that he had after the Jeremy Stephens matchup, I just don't trust that to hold up in a fight against Calvin Kattar, because it's going to be a war. Unless Emmett flatlines him early, which I really don't see, because, you know, Dan Igue's tough, but he couldn't do it to Dan Ige. And Masad Bektic is not the best fighter that we thought he was. Like, he went on a massive slide after that, lost to Damon Jackson. Like, sure, he dropped him with a jab, but even then, Masad Bektic had a bunch of time to recover and try and get back into it. I think that Josh Emmett has struggled to KO people with worse chins than Calvin Kattar. And one thing about Calvin Kattar being a boxer first, boxers that come over to the UFC, or people that put a lot of work into their boxing and they pride themselves on it, typically, they're good at not getting KO'd. The Diaz brothers, you know what I mean, like Masvidal, of course Usman changed that, but people that really put work into their craft of boxing and pride themselves on it and put a lot of work into that, maybe more than anything else in their game, they're good at taking shots off of people. You know what I'm saying? They're just good at riding shots and being defensively aware and keeping their eyes open in exchange so they can see shots coming and going with it a little bit, not sort of getting caught out where they're like falling into a KO blow or anything like that. I just feel as though that's going to very much favour Calvin Kattar here. Emmett doesn't really throw too many kicks. He'll go to the legs a couple of times, but Kattar's done a better job dealing with that recently in his career. I don't know how Emmett's going to do over 5 rounds. He does seem to slow down a little bit. Of course, he throws so much power, he's bound to slow down, but he does carry that power into some of those later rounds. But I feel like this is going to be a high-paced fight. This isn't going to be a Michael Johnson-style fight where it's very hesitant on the outside, both guys landing a touching blow here and there, and then all of a sudden he still has the power in the 3rd round. I think Kattar's going to force him into a scrap early on. And watch out for a technique of Kattar that I think is going to bug Josh Emmett massively. Calvin Kattar's best move outside of his hands is his front kick to the face. He whips it up so fast and out of nowhere, and he hasn't really landed it on an opponent yet. But he whips it up, and it's enough to keep these shorter strikers, like even Dan Ige, who usually will go after people and pressure them. I think Movsar Evloev did this with a flying knee up the middle. It kind of just stopped Dan Ige's forward pressure altogether in that matchup and made him way more defensive. And, the front kick to the face of Calvin Kattar, I think, is going to bug Josh Emmett to think, I can't just rush in. I can't just close the distance the way I normally can, because Michael Johnson isn't going to throw that front kick to the face. Neither is Masad Bektic. They're not going to do that. They're going to grit down and trade with you in the pocket, and that's why they get KO'd by you. I think Calvin's got this one. He's got very high fight IQ. The best chance of beating Calvin is to overwhelm him. We saw that against Max Holloway. We saw it against Donato Moicano as well. Burgos started to be able to do it, but then Calvin Kattar has the power to say, you know what, forget that. I'm putting you away for good. It was a bit of a weird stoppage, but justified based on the way Burgos went down from that uppercut. Of course, the referee at that time didn't know that Burgos has a chin from the gods, as he showed in a Josh Emmett fight as well. Maybe if he did, he would have let Burgos get back up and try and fight again. But still, you've got to overwhelm Calvin Kattar, and I just don't see Emmett having the style to do that. This is a standoff trade, shot for shot. Emmett only throws one punch normally, and he sort of sits there, admires his work, and tries to move a bit afterwards. Whereas Calvin's the sort of guy where he'll throw a jab, Emmett will throw a big shot, and then Calvin will come back with a pop and catch him. So I can see this fight going as follows. Josh Emmett comes out there, lands a big shot on Calvin Kattar early on, maybe staggers him a little bit, sends him backwards. Calvin Kattar has to adjust, sort of like move around a little bit, throw a front kick up the middle just to get some space and throw some jabs out there and move, maybe get a bit of a clinch going on, and Emmett might go for a takedown and Kattar gets back up immediately or something along those lines. And then as it goes on, I think we're going to see Kattar just popping him with a jab. Emmett chopping at the legs a bit, swinging and missing, Kattar moving, Kattar pops him with another jab. And eventually, once he starts to find that range, around the late half of the 2nd round, I think we're going to see Kattar start following up with the right hand and beat Josh Emmett to like a check hook. And I think we're going to see Kattar like jab, and then 2 right behind the ear of Josh Emmett, send him down to the canvas, and then finish it off by TKO. I think it's going to be a bit back and forth. Both guys are going to get hit, but I think Kattar's got this one in the bag. I think he's way better in the pocket, and he's rangier. He's got some reach to work with here as well. Got good confidence after his last performance. You know, maybe after the Holloway fight, this would be a different story. Can I still take shots the same way? I'm going in there against maybe the biggest power puncher in the featherweight division. He's like the new Chad Mendes on the block, you know what I'm saying? From the same team as well, in Team Alpha Male. So maybe there'd be some worry there, but now he's gone for it against Giga Chikadze and shown that he's still got that toughness, and he's coming off a win, and he looked good over the 5 rounds and pushed that pace. Emmett has to finish him early. Kattar has options, and I like options. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. The winner of this, if it's Kattar, title shot, and both of them have really good chances to beat Volk. That's something else I want to talk about here. They really have good chances to beat Volkanovski because they're both power punchers. And Ortega's got power, but against Frankie Edgar and not really many others, in all honesty. Like, he's hit a lot of people, and sure, he can crack here and there, but he hasn't quite got the precision to, like, follow through with a shot the same way a Kattar or an Emmett can, where they're going to brutally knock you out cold. You know what I mean? And finish you off. So I feel like the winner of this matchup has got a weirdly good chance of beating Volk, and I want to see the winner of this get a title shot if Volk does beat Holloway, which is a big if, because Holloway, of course, is going to come back, make some changes to his game, and if Holloway wins, I know people are calling for Glover Teixeira to get a rematch, even though he's never defended his belt before. But if Holloway somehow wins against Alexander Volkanovski in that trilogy, people are going to say 2-1 Holloway, 3-0 Holloway, move on. And no one will want Volk to get a rematch because it's the double standards. We know why. Either way, the winner of this should get a title shot. It will be difficult to argue Kattar getting a title shot if Holloway's the champ. But Emmett is like a guy. If he KOs Kattar, he can beat anyone on any night. Like, even Holloway. Like, let's say Holloway goes through another war with Volk to win, takes a whole bunch more damage. How much longer does he take those shots for? And does he take them off a guy like Josh Emmett? Because he does get hit. I think Josh Emmett's a bit of a underdog. A good underdog here. But Kattar's a bad matchup for him. Blow for blow. Trading in the pocket. You're going to beat Calvin Kattar there. It's a big if for Emmett. Whereas there's more options on ways that Kattar can win this one. I like that. Emmett's got to land a big blow early on. Kattar can do it at any point. We've seen him have better cardio. I reckon he's got this one in the bag. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. He's been in main events before. This is Emmett's first time in a big fight. Like, the pressure's going to be on his first main event. It's time to make stuff happen. I feel like Kattar's got this one. See you later.